Hey! Yo, everyone, Andrew here, along with the beautiful, lovely, oh so delicious,
Gossip Guru.
yes. And today we are going to be talking about the new DC 52, or the comic book relaunch. Now you're probably saying to yourself, well, gee, Andrew, you talk about this all the time. Why are you doing yet another video? Well, see, the reason why is because I do talk about it all the time. But I'm a person that is very in tune with comics. I read comics a lot. I always keep up on the news. I figured it'd be interesting to get this DC relaunch, this New 52, and talk about it from the opinions of someone who really hasn't done much comics. Like her. And if you notice, recently, I just noticed this, I shake my hair, it's like Justin Bieber. It just goes right into place. That's scary. I don't like that. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to sit down, we're going to talk about our opinions on the DC relaunch, and it's going to be coming from a comic book fan perspective, and it's going to be coming from a non-comic book fan perspective. The most exposure she's had to comic books would be what? That's the
I
question.
don't know all the names. The
No,
killing,
no. But you, what have you experienced of comics?
the killing joke.
Okay. She's read a
For
few.
one.
Well, she's read a few of them, like Killing Joke, Hush, Heart of Hush, and you've seen the movies, haven't you?
Yep.
You've seen some of the TV shows, haven't you?
Mhm.
And you hear me talk about it constantly, don't you?
Yep.
Yep. It's a trade-off. I talk about comics, and I also have to watch Teen Mom. But anyways, Teen Mom's not that bad though. Not that bad. Anyways, so we're gonna get it from two perspectives. In addition to that, I will tell you my final list of comics that I'm gonna be getting because I added two, I think, to the list. So I'm gonna talk about that. And Gossip Guru here said that she was actually gonna read some of my comics per this relaunch. She's given that face. I know she is, but she's gonna read a few of them. So along with me. That's the stipulation. So she's going to give her picks of exactly what she's going to read. So let's start this thing off because we've been sitting here for 2 minutes and 39 seconds just doing an intro. Shall we?
Yes.
Okay. General opinions about the DC relaunch. For me as a fan, I was skeptic in the beginning on whether or not I was going to like it. But I have warmed up to it from over time, and I'm actually very excited about this relaunch. I figured it's a good chance to clean up some messes in the DC universe, to reintroduce characters, and also a great way to get people into comic books. I'm excited for the relaunch, plain, flat, and simple. What are your opinions on the relaunch from someone that's not a big comic book fan? She feels like she's being put on the spot, but
I'm gonna look like a moron
no,
because
she's not.
I don't have a lot of information.
Well, that's the beauty of it. You are the outsider looking in. So you're going to give your information on this. Do you think this is a good way to bring people into comics?
Yes. Because it's something new.
Yeah.
And even if they're new to comics, they probably still have an idea of the original art and stories. So,
hmm
yeah, I think it's a good way to grasp people into it.
What about the, I don't know if you know about this because I haven't talked about this much with you because anything I've talked about the relaunch with her, there's a few things I leave out that doesn't apply to me. The digital, day-to-day digital release, do you know what that is? Is that when you the day the comics come out on stands physically, you can buy them online and then they can go on your like BlackBerry or something like that, so you can flip through the comic itself. Do you think that's a good thing for comics? Do you think that's a good way to bring people into comics that don't have a comic store near them, or I mean, do you think that's a malarkey? Do you think it's a waste of time?
I guess it's beneficial to people that don't have comic book stores near them, but I think it takes away from the tradition to comics and that you buy the paperback at the store and don't get a digital copy online. I mean, I understand everything's going to internet, but something should be preserved for print.
I agree with you most part. I think it's a good move because a lot of stuff is going online. But I think nothing takes away from having that physically in your hand. I think it will be more beneficial to people that don't have a comic store near them because I mean we 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 live in an area where there's a lot of comic stores. I only go to one of them, and that's Comically Speaking, which kicks ass. But there's at least was it two comic stores in our like towns that we live in roughly, and then there's a bunch of Newbury Comics. So we can get a hold of this stuff pretty easily, but some people can't. So the day-to-day digital releases may not be a bad idea. My buddy at work, Tom, thinks it's a horrible idea, but Tom also thinks a lot of stuff is a horrible idea. Okay, we also have the pictures on in the background, so Mrs. Cutter and I are going to be looking at these slightly while we're going to go into it. I'm going to ask you some big questions about certain things that are happening in the DC universe that people are upset about. Barbara Gordon, Superman, and so on and so forth. First of all, let's talk about the costumes. Now, from a general look, just a quick overview of what you see here. Do you like how the new costumes look from what you remember on some people? Or do you not? And I'll pull up the Justice League specifically so that you get a good look of how they look. So, here's the Justice League right there. And, come on, there we go. Genuinely, do you like, not just the Justice League, but in general, do you like the new designs for the costumes? Are you okay with Superman being without underwear? Are you okay with Wonder Woman having pants? Or not having pants, apparently DC can't make up their mind. Do you like how Batman looks? Do you like how Aquaman looks?
I miss Superman's briefs. I think, not that there's anything wrong with this, but without them, there's too much attention drawn to his package. And there needs to be, I think, more attention on the infamous S. And,
He has a beautiful S.
His face. I don't think we should be looking at the bottom half of him so much. So I think that's too bad. And
wait, you don't like that they got rid of the
no.
trunks? Okay. What about Wonder Woman? Now, DC has been flipping back and forth, having her pants on or having the bikini. What do you think? The traditional kind of look or the pants? Ooh. Because I'm talking from a male perspective. What about female perspective? Well, I mean, come on.
I don't really care for Wonder Woman, but I guess it looked better without the
spandex.
The
pants. The pants that she has. Okay. See, you're interesting when it comes down to costumes because sometimes you think some costumes are too revealing, like Wonder Woman, but at other times you commented that Batgirl's costume is not revealing enough. I think you said that. Yes, you did. That she's too covered up. And I think your middle ground was Supergirl's costume because it was styling and profiling. But anyway, so on a whole, the costumes, do you like them or not?
They look okay to me from this view. Who is...
What, the black guy?
That fellow?
That would be Cyborg. Is that... You don't know Cyborg?
That is not who I was...
Him?
Wondering about. Who's that?
That's Aquaman. How do you not know Aquaman? That's outrageous!
Well, that I'm going to be moronic. So, I don't 100% remember what his costume looked like before, but I don't...
His costume hasn't changed at all. Except for they gave him
I like his costume.
The only difference that they made with his costume is they gave him a collar. Grant Morrison said the reason why they're giving superheroes collars like Superman and Aquaman is because they always had kind of an open slit like this. Look. Showing the collarbone. And that was kind of like the strongman look, where with the collar they're going to try to make it look more regal. But my opinion is, on a whole, for most of the costumes, with the exception of maybe like Red Robin's or Wonder Girl's costume, I like all the costume changes. Superman's costume change has really grown on me. I mean, the thing is, I think it's hard for people to adapt to Superman's costume change It's because his costume really hasn't changed that much, other than how the emblem looks sometimes, and the his length of his cape, and when he first appeared, he didn't have boots on; he just had footsies. But his costume hasn't changed that much, as opposed to say Batman or Green Lantern, whose costume changes all the time. So I think with some superheroes, it's hard for people to adapt to. Okay, so genuinely you like the costumes. Let's talk about some of the big topics here. Superman's marriage no longer existing. How do you feel as an outsider looking in? How do you feel about that?
Well, I know of his marriage existing, so I'm not really an outsider to that story, so
But you don't read comics, so as someone
I
that doesn't read comics.
I guess it's fine for them to start fresh with that, just to start from a beginning.
That's interesting. So if it doesn't bother you that, I guess if this, would you be okay with them taking the marriage away, knowing that eventually they get married again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. See, I'm kind of iffy on it. If they eventually get married again, I might be okay with it, but I don't see why they needed to take it away. Okay, then that brings us to the next question, which is the Barbara Gordon question. One thing that is causing a lot of, Barbara Gordon, first Batgirl. One thing that's causing a lot of uproar is that she's becoming Batgirl again. Let me just give you a recap in case you don't remember. Barbara Gordon was the first Batgirl, shot in the spine by the Joker, became wheelchair bound, and became the superhero known as Oracle. She was an information broker for other superheroes. And then she's getting her legs back. This is causing a lot of uproar with some fans, particularly because they feel as though two things. One is that she was a lot better character as Oracle than she was as Batgirl, and two is that, most importantly, is that she was a character that people that had disabilities could look up to. And now they're taking her out of that role and putting her back to being a normal individual running around doing cartwheels and flying off buildings. As an outsider looking in, how do you feel about that? Do you think it was a good idea? Do you think it was not a good idea? I mean, does it bother you the fact that they're taking her out of the wheelchair? Do you think it's offensive to people that have disabilities not to have someone in that wheelchair? Do you think they should put her back? I mean, what's your general thoughts on that?
In that particular case, I think that they should keep her character as it was, because people tend to somehow.
Apple juice.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they may not have seen the other video, but continue. Sorry.
People tend to pick which characters are their favorite because they can relate to them somehow, and I think she would have been and was relatable um, to from some people. So I think that they need that variety, and they should have kept hers the same. She's an exception, I guess.
Now, what if they made someone else go into that role as a disabled character, someone that was wheelchair bound or had no, lost an appendage or something, and Barbara Gordon got her legs back? Do you think that would be okay then, if someone else took up that role? Does it? Do you think it has to be Barbara Gordon, or do you think it could be anyone?
It can be anyone.
It can. So that's a tricky question because see, for me personally with Barbara Gordon, on one hand, I'm upset because she is a character that is a representation for people that do have disabilities, for people that are incapable of walking, just someone that they can look up to. And she has got tremendous development as Oracle, but at the same time, is it really a step back for the character? I mean, she still was Oracle. Now she's a new Batgirl with all the experiences she had as Oracle. And when you think about Batgirl, who do you think of? You probably think of Barbara Gordon, right?
From an outsider's perspective, sure.
Yeah. So she's the most recognizable Batgirl. Business-wise, I think to new readers it would be best. So it's a tricky thing. The thing that's bothering me is a lot of people saying that they're boycotting this comic and that they're not going to read it. But the funny thing is that I asked them, well, did you ever read Birds of Prey? No. Well, then what? I mean, the only exposure you had of Barbara was of her being in Batman. So chances are people saying that they were going to boycott this comic are people that weren't going to read Barbara Gordon in the first place. I mean, if she was your favorite character, would you still support her, whether she was in a wheelchair or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I had a point.
She had a point.
Continue on, because I have to think about it again. But
Okay, I'll let you think about it. Let me just see if there's any other major issues off the bat. And if not, I'll go into my comic list and then we can talk about what you would like to get. Um, yeah, no other big issues. Let me pull up my comic list.
I think it's important.
You got it?
I think it's important to have at least a character with some sort of disability, because if not, then superhero aspirations seem out of reach to people that may be disabled. I think that you can do superhero-like things even with a disability, so I think it's more realistic to have a character, whether it be Barbara Gordon or not, with a disability in the comics.
Okay, well,
That was it.
if that's the case, let me bring this one step closer. Should they have a character be disabled for the sake of being disabled? It's like saying this character we're making this character a black character for the sake because they're black. Should someone just be thrown into that void, or I mean, how do you think they should address it? It's kind of like saying let's have a Justice League and make sure we have a Hispanic, a black, and a disabled person on there, and make sure there's also a homosexual person. Do you think it's important having those roles filled, or do you think it's important for them to be good characters? Because in my opinion, I don't care if the person is black, Hispanic, Asian, gay, straight, disabled, or not. As long as they're a good character, that's what's important to me. If they're interesting, intriguing, or insightful, that's what's important to me. So that's why I'm a little bit easier on Barbara Gordon getting out of the wheelchair, because she will still be a good character no matter what. But I mean, in your opinion, do you think it's a tricky move to do to put someone else into that position? Do you think it would look like DC's just trying to fill that void? Say that, hey, we're politically correct about stuff? Not politically, I don't think politically correct's the right word to say. That we're diverse. There we go.
Yeah, I don't think that they could just throw another character into the role. I think it would have to take a lot of thought, because it would be, it depends upon how the character is disabled in the first place, whether it is through an accident.
Falcon Punch!
It is through an accident or otherwise. So
You know, it's kind of funny.
I don't think, sorry to interrupt, but I don't think it should be a matter of another character getting shot by the Joker to get disabled.
For Cactus Jack. It's kind of funny that we're talking about this. Well, not funny. It's kind of a coincidence, because in the comic Demon Knight, Demon Knight's set in like medieval times. There's going to be a character that can't use their legs, and they're an archer, and they stay on their horse the whole entire time. So I guess they're having a kind of a disabled character in a sense. We'll see how that works. But you're for Barbara Gordon, or at least someone being in a position of that sense, so that there's someone to look up to. I half agree. I believe that if a character is good, that's what matters. But at the same time, I think there should be characters for everyone of all demographics and nationalities and all positions and way of life to look up to. Cassandra Cain should never have got her voice back, because she was a character that was disabled. She couldn't talk. So if someone was mute, or they were deaf and they couldn't talk, they could relate to Cassandra Cain. But anyways, let's move on.
Just one more
Okay,
point
go
is
ahead.
that if the writers decide to take on something like that, I think it should be an honest approach. I don't think that they should do it just to gain readership and make more of a profit.
I agree. One of the things that has been bugging me that a lot of people have been saying is DC's whole thing right now is trying to be more diverse, not only in the content, like, mystical comics or Western comics or sci-fi comics or crime comics or superhero comics. They're trying to be diverse in how their comics are approached. Homosexuality in comics, characters being of different nationality, ethnicity. And a lot of people are saying, well, there's a lot of African American or black characters in there. And they're saying, well, what about all the diversity DC's trying to do? I've counted it up, and I've got Hispanic characters, Asian characters, Korean characters, Filipino characters, black characters. I think there's been a lot of diversity with DC. There's been some homosexual characters. There's been a lot of diversity. And I think DC, what they're trying to do, and Jim Lee said this, is we want to be diverse. It's important to us, but it's not our driving force. We want it to be something that's done right. So I would like to think that if DC did that and had someone that was disabled or had a disability of some sort, be able that they would do it correctly. And I would also think that they would, because they did with Barbara Gordon. I mean, she was a character that was really not being used at the time. They put her in the wheelchair and they rolled with it, and it just worked out very well. So I hopefully they would not make it to be like, hey, look, we have a disabled character, we're being diverse. Hey, look, we have a character that's fantastic that happens to be disabled. It's a tough subject, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not, it's a tricky thing to talk about. Before we get into our comic list, we like to know your opinions on these subjects. What's your opinion on the Superman marriage being dissolved? Would you be okay with it being dissolved? He's just going to get married to Lois sometime down the line? How do you feel about Barbara Gordon? How do you feel about DC with its diversity? Like I said, if you actually look at it, you got some Filipino characters, Hispanic characters, Asian characters, homosexual characters, black characters, a lot of them. If you look at the Justice League, I think Ray Chow's on there, and he's Korean. I think he's Korean. He's of some Asian ethnicity. I'm not the biggest Ray Chow fan, I'm sorry. They have quite a few people. And come on! Aquaman's Atlantean. I think that's a pretty big diverse group. Superman is Kryptonian. But no, in all seriousness, actually check out the books and you'll find that it's more than just black characters that they're trying to add in. There's actually a lot of diversity. So kudos to DC for doing that. I have to give them props. But I would like to hear your opinions on this, and so would Gossip Guru. So hard not calling her Mrs. Cutter. She will always be Mrs. Cutter. Okay, anyways, so what I will do is talk about the comics that I will be getting, my final list, and then Miss Gossip Guru here will talk about the comics that she might read on the side with me. Might. She's giving that little smile. So, this is the definitive final list of comics. I told Gossip Guru here, honey, if I decide to subscribe to any more comics, please keep me from doing so. What happened? I subscribed to 2 comics in front of her, and she kind of just went, what's happening? Okay. You were there, that's what
listen to me.
You didn't say anything. You didn't try to stop me. You didn't try to distract me. You could have made out with me, and that would have distracted me, and then you could have closed the thing. I don't need anything. Well, except for Batman.
Need them. That's the point.
I need Batman. I need Batman. That is a necessity in life.
But not the others.
Well, it's still important. Anyways, so this is my final list. Buffy and Angel excluded because they're not DC. Okay, ready? In alphabetical order. Let me just make sure everything was just right. Okay. Action Comics. Aquaman. Batgirl. Batman. Batman and Robin. Batman the Dark Knight. A lot of Batmans. Wait, Action Comics, Aquaman, Batgirl, Batman, Batman and Robin, Batman the Dark Knight, Batwing, Batwoman, Birds of Prey, Catwoman, Demon Knights, Detective Comics, The Flash, Green Lantern, Justice League Dark, Justice League International, Nightwing, Red Hood and the Outlaws, Savage Hawkman, Superboy, Supergirl, Superman, Swamp Thing, Teen Titans, and finally, last but certainly not least, Wonder Woman. So as you can see, I added Swamp Thing, Batwing, Birds of Prey, and Justice League Dark from my original list I gave back a few months ago. I can guarantee you this, is if it has the Batman title on it, I'm going to grab it. So if they bring out a Huntress comic, I'll grab it. If they bring out a, I don't know, Alfred Pennyworth comic, I'll pick it up. You know what? If they did a Leslie Tompkins comic, I will pick it up. Why? Because it's part of the Batman family. And I'm buying it if it's Batman. Okay, so, Mrs. Cutter, or Gossip Guru, what comics would you get? We have the pictures up here. What comics would you read?
Potentially.
Potentially!
I would consider Superman.
Superman.
Supergirl.
Supergirl.
The Flash.
The Flash.
Justice League of America.
Ah, Justice League. It's just Justice League now. But I'm so
really?
proud of you for saying of America.
Just Justice League.
Okay, just Justice League. Okay.
I'm gonna go with those four.
Okay, so Superman, Supergirl, Flash, and Justice League. Why particularly those? Because the Flash kind of throws me off. Why those?
Because the Flash is so excited.
He's so excited.
Yes. He's a happy, spirited person.
Oh,
I think that's positive.
So when it comes down to comics, you don't like your comics being dark and dreary. You like a character that's positive, upbeat, and all that kind of junk.
Why not?
Okay, I agree. There's
so much crap in the world.
Never
Why not resort to something happy?
I agree. Dark and gritty doesn't mean good. Okay, Superman, Supergirl. Why those two?
Superman, because Superman's just my favorite. Supergirl, probably because she's just some kind of opposite of the Superman.
Whenever we talk about dressing up for Halloween or talking about going to Comic-Con dressed up, it's always her wanting to be Supergirl. So I think she has a deep affection for Supergirl. And finally, Justice League. Oh,
I don't know if I would say affection, but...
Well, not in that sense. I'm talking about as a character.
And Justice League, I guess it's just a fun thing for everybody to work together instead of competing against each other.
Working together, people. Working together to kick your ass. The superhero way. Okay, so any final thoughts at all?
Hopefully that wasn't painful for you.
Oh.
I did the best I could and said all that I knew.
Gossip Guru is a little too hard on herself. Don't be hard on yourself. You gave the outsider's perspective, and that's what was needed. A few things before I go. One is I have a beginner's guide to Nightwing and Firestorm all set. I'll post them up tomorrow on Friday. Today is Thursday, the 11th. And I will try to do a few more beginner's guides. If there's something specific you want me to do, let me know. Some characters I'm not as knowledgeable with, but if you would like me to do a beginner's guide of that person, let me know. I know suggestions were thrown out beforehand, but update them. If there's some suggestions, let me know. I also have some more comic reviews, a trade paperback review, Batman the Imposters coming up, along with a few other things. And finally, if you enjoy this beautiful girl right here, and you know, what's not to enjoy, you can check out her channel. Her link is at the bottom, Eastern Celebrity. I did a video with her over there. We talked about the Jersey Shore and how it could be a guilty pleasure and whether or not it should still be on television. And we might also do some more TV shows talking about maybe, well, you'll just have to...
We'll leave you in suspense.
Yeah. But Gossip Guru here talks about celebrity stuff, Hollywood, television, and just general life stuff and news. For example, she did a little talk about retail and her rant about retail and all that junk. So, with that said, I'm going to end this review here. This is
Gossip Guru.
And Andrew saying Peace out for now.